Okay, I believe part two has started. I really, wow. Let's give it the last little bit of the music. So yeah, things cut out. You know how it happens. Let's see here. All right. Let's just give it a moment to see if people can rejoin. All right. I am back, and thank you for coming back, Greg. What abouts is the last thing that I said in your estimation when it was cutting out? Yeah. Let's see here. Well, without that context yet, I will just remind anyone coming in here that we're halfway through the chapter. Oh yeah, something about Weld's accent. Yeah. Well, that I just think it would be really. I don't know if this made it into the last recording bit, but I think it would be great to have a real Boston man read all of Weld's lines, and then we take the existing audiobook and we just alter only by adding in Boston man's lines, and I think that would be great. Someone with like a really heavy Boston accent. One that I couldn't even hope to recreate. Yeah, so whatever I was at, basically, you know, Weld and Taylor are going back and forth, talking. Everyone else has gone down Taylor's spider silk line, and Weld clarifies that he's not going to or that he didn't want to leave, which is not the same as wanting to stay and fight, from his perspective. And Taylor's like begging for a chance to like get revenge and prove that they can hurt Scion and all this stuff. She's thinking about what she's lost, how her dad is gone, her hometown's gone. She thinks you took our hope, betrayed humanity. I don't do well with betrayal. She hates that game, Betrayal. So yeah, she's got her silk cord that she had used to lower the others down, and she uses the silk and puts it around Scion, and then around his eyes. He doesn't seem to like notice or react in any way, but then she connects the line of silk over to the Tonda Cape, who can tie things, spatial relationships together that they use to chase Khonsu around the world. And then this cape ties the silk cord and Scion and everything in place, and that's when all of the big attacks start firing off. Glass de Guenier, Legend, and Eidolon all fire at once, and all of the various like streaks across the sky that Glastigwenya had been using. I think she like collapses on him at this point. And then Vic says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we got him." Yeah, exactly. And so then Taylor's thinking through, because like obviously, despite hitting him with all this stuff, that it's not that big a deal to Scion. And then Taylor's like, what can I do specifically? I can't reuse the silk. It's not long enough anymore. I guess probably a bunch of it got destroyed by the various attacks. And then so instead she's like, Scion really, he's kind of an idiot. He seems to like not be able to tell when decoys are decoys, and he hates things that duplicate, seemingly. So she starts making a swarm clone, and then like moves the swarm clone up to be like an additional, as though it's an additional opponent for him, and when Scion doesn't react, that's when she splits it in front of him into multiple decoys, and then Scion is like, none of that, no multiplying decoys, I hate that shit. And all of her bugs are gone, and she's like, oh fuck, and then she's like, now this is when we see Glastigwenya uses a spirit that's a clock blocker spirit. So clock blocker is already joined the dead with Glastigwenya. Unfortunately for us, the audience. And then oh yeah, actually it's when he's clock blockered that she finally releases the spots and has them all the blotches in the air, and has them conglomerate into one spot. And then it seems to be some like high gravity effect or something. And Glastigwenya and Eidolon seem to have like pretty good like cape senses. Like they can tell when Scion's like demeanor is shifting in minor ways that are probably like only attuned capes like Taylor can also kind of. They just react like a moment too soon for everything, kind of. And then Eidolon uses the whatever power was behind the G driver. Eidolon taps into that directly, and not through a Tinker device, but just through his own power, blasts the fuck out of Scion. And then it launches him down into the water, and then Taylor's like, I know what to do. I'll fucking get another decoy together by swimming deep underwater, getting a bunch of krill and plankton and crap, whatever I can control, and then we can make swarm clones with that. And, her current weird claw tentacle form is pretty good at swimming, so this isn't a terrible plan. Except, oh boy, things start going wrong fast. When she's pretty deep under and not able to like surface, then the lab rat body starts falling apart, and we get the precursor moment to the chapter art. And hovering above the water is Glastigwenya, just sort of waiting for her. She's like, her body's falling apart, and she's thinking of herself as drowning, but like, I feel like she's dying from like another massive source. If she was on perfectly dry land, she'd still be like on the brink. But yeah, she says, I forced my eyes to focus. Glastigüeñe, smiling slightly. She'd been the one above the water, and here she was, not helping, waiting. At least I'll still be able to contribute, I thought. And then the freaking door opens up and starts to, like, a doormaker door, meaning that Scion must be far enough away. And Taylor, her body gets flooded through the door into some cauldron facility. Says the water moved and I saw a look of disappointment on her face. And so then she gets dragged through the portal door and thinks, we lost, and blacks out. And that is the end of Taylor's portion of this arc, is to get dragged through a portal while her body's falling into little pieces. Great chapter. Great fight. The previous chapter was really, like, cool and interesting, seeing them try to use different powers and, like, how they were sending the people through the portals. And this was, like, a really compelling thing as well. I love the bug transformation. I love the conversation with Weld. All the background fighting that Glastigüeñe is doing is, like, really impressive and cool. I know I yada past it, but it was like, you know, it's just a little different to do a summary versus the actual reading of the thing. Like, I think it's like really well paced into the chapter when you're reading or listening to the audiobook. Let me think. Do I have any other final chapter thoughts? It really, I think that this chapter sells how dangerous it is to, like, muster up capes to try and fight Scion, because they didn't just lose a couple people, or the people who did the attacks previously, they lost, like, seemingly a majority of everyone, and then, like, the capes who are here fighting are, like, the 4 capes who are strong enough and fast enough to fly in from, like, many miles away. You know, Cauldron's not willing to open portals that close, but there is a certain amount of, like, Scion's range is so huge, and he can slip between worlds, even. So, like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough about how the portals work, but I feel like the downsides to them opening a portal near him have all already happened. They've already lost their, like, positioning, and they've already lost their secret base's, like, location. Vic says, Cauldron just likes to be difficult. Yeah. So, really, they could have probably evac'd a ton of those capes by just, like, dumping them through a door that was below them on the water, or, like, trying to catch them out of the air, even, to save a lot of them who would have died on impact, and sort of flinging them into a room that they could, you know, they might break some bones, but they'd be much more alive than falling off an oil rig onto the water. So Cauldron's hesitance continues to, like, screw over the group effort and kind of squander a lot of the resources that they spent all this time grinding up. So, you know, take that as you will. As for arc stuff, this was a great, this was like a great, what feels like the climactic fight. it's really just like a preamble to, like, spoilers, everyone. The next chapter interlude will not, like, break away. It will double down on this fight uh and really dwarf, I feel like, the writing of this portion. Again, I think that this is great, and that having Taylor there and, like, the fight in the background is a really good like, level setter, and then we will get to see the escalation of the fight next chapter. So I think that this arc has a great ramp up. And the arc is, of course, I haven't talked about the arc names as much, but it is, arc 27 is Extinction. So, yeah. So for characters, I put Lab Rat. We get a very brief Lab Rat moment. He clearly had some really important thing that he needed to do, throwing that ball over the side of the oil rig. What could it be? No one knows. We didn't see what the device does, so shrug. But it was a really big deal to him. Lustrum seems cool. Seems swole, a big lady. In the words of Steven Universe, all I want to be is a guy who gets to see a giant woman. So, Lustrum, great character. Very dead, though. It sounds like she was sliced to pieces by Big Gold Man. But she was doing her best. Legend, Pretender, and Eidolon, I gave them their own line together here. There's not a lot of character going on per se, but they're doing their thing. They're flying about. They're being annoying, unkillable flies that Scion has to deal with. Sveta gets some great moments. You know what? I should give Sanguine. I'm gonna write a line for Sanguine. This is his only time in the sun. Sanguine is kind of interesting, I think, because he pushes back on Weld, and when Weld's trying to give up, he's just like, fuck that. You gotta push through. It's very like Carol Dallin. Like, I'm going to give it 100%, and then when I run out of steam, I'm going to dig deep, and I'm going to give it 100% again. Like, that kind of thing. So, despite only seeing Sanguine do, like, one thing and have, like, one conversation, we think he might be a pretty cool guy. Sveta, I think that, we all have a soft spot for Sveta, and that we want the best for her, and it's sad that she has to untether from Weld, and instead she will live in Ball for the time being. But yeah, Sveta has some nice moments with Weld, and she doesn't quite convince him, but it's clear that, like, a lot of what he's doing is to keep up his persona in front of Sveta. Like, all of the irregulars, but Sveta the most. And then boop, 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 boop. Yeah, Weld's position is kind of, like, interesting. He's clearly, like, given up on, like, an existential level, and it's Taylor loses some hope at that, but it's an understandable position. I'm just more of I think I'm more in the Taylor mindset of, like, you just gotta keep attempting to do something, because it's not over till we're all dead. And And then Glastigüenye, I broke her off from the other fighting people because clearly she like wants Taylor's soul. She's like waiting to steal Taylor's soul. But out of like a respect for who she sees as like another high level being, she's not going to steal her soul while she's alive. She's waiting for her to die without being killed by Glastig. Anyway, but she was like licking her lips. She's like, I get the control shard. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Anyway. She did not get her wishes, and Taylor was drawn through a portal, so sad day for the Fairy Queen. I put Brian and Dennis, both drawn in to this battlefield, and both horribly ill-equipped to properly deal with this situation. I can imagine that Dennis was able to like stop his fall partway down with his costume and then not die on impact, but that Scion would have been like cutting up specific capes with powers that might annoy him and like picked off Dennis. So sad stuff. But as Taylor would say to herself, and maybe this could be her prayer for Dennis as well. At least I'll still be able to contribute, I thought. Yeah, she's at least Dennis is able to contribute. So very, very sad. Various things happened that are all pretty hard to get through. And then Taylor, man, Taylor is just indomitable spirit. Like, she thinks to herself that they lost and such, and she blacks out and whatever, but she friggin' survives. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, even in like the lowest moment when they're all like, everything was lost from this attack, then she's like, no, not everything was lost. We're gonna keep fighting. We've found an effective means, and I think that we all love Taylor for her infinite grit and her unstoppable nature. I don't feel like I have that much more to say about her that I didn't say during the chapter. I still do think that it's very funny that she's easily able to identify, like, oh yeah, I was filled with rage. It was no big deal. It wasn't like my rage. It was some other rage. But, I was mostly operating normal. It's like a 20% bump in rage. Oh, the text at the bottom of my document has restored. That's kind of cool. Well, anyway, that'll be audience participation time. For the powers, knowledge, and world building, I wrote Mysterious Lab Rat Ball, which I think we've already kind of talked about enough. I wrote Flight Pack while body is falling apart. Very cool. I love that she's still like so focused. I love that she's still running the bugs. Like, if it's a powers thing, it's so like background for her that she can like talk through bugs, run the flight pack, whatever, while she's completely like dying and like physically spinning around in the air and like emotionally spiraling to boot. She's just like really, really good at what she's doing. She's full bug brain. I also wrote Lab Rat Bug Box. Obviously, we talked it to death. I think this form is great. I'm a fan of the Lab Rat stuff. And it is too bad that our favorite pair of tinkers who hate each other, Lab Rat and String Theory, both got like obliterated by Scion. Um, although they will still use a transformation box in a later scene, not on Taylor, as part of like a powers combo maneuver that's pretty cool. And then I also wanted to give a shout out to that Tonda with the position holding power, where he like spatially ties things to each other. That guy, he really nailed it on the timing, and we'll see him later, so we know he's not that Scion didn't get hit by that, then pick him off like what happens a lot of times. So, pretty cool guy. I like him doing his thing. Doot. Oh yes, the audience participation. So, for audience participation, we've got 27.5. Make up your own Lab Rat emergency box form and the emotion it's tied to. So I called mine sluggish stability. And the emotions that it's tied to are like calmness and centeredness and focus. But what it does is that your legs and arms massively like thicken and bulge out until they're as wide as they are long, and then like a sticky coating of like powers slime starts to emit from the hands and feet. The head and the rest of the body are also like bloated and thickened, but to a much lesser degree. And then this form has increased strength, increased size, highly increased durability, and reduced speed. It's good at defending narrow spaces or like slowly like aggrieving or aggressing someone who can't move away, but has like really powerful punches and kicks. Incredibly difficult to like move or remove from a spot because of the size and the sticky slime. So once it's in there, it can stay in a spot and keep fighting. And I thought that was a cool form that could maybe come from like Gregor's power combined with I forget who it was, but there's a cape who kind of becomes immovable through like increasing density. I think like just mentioned in Ward, but anyway, you can mix and match some powers to make that Lab Rat formula work. They don't talk about scans that much in Worm compared to in Ward, but like Tinker scans are totally a thing, and so they can kind of incorporate different powers. Anyway, then Vic had said, my Lab Rat box pulls on Slap Happy Energy, Hyper, Goofy, and Feral. You form a muscly tail that acts as a giant spring for you to bounce around on. And of course, it is from Winnie the Pooh Tigger, and he is bouncing like crazy in a traditional GIF that Greg has posted. His tail looks so like box spring like in this animation. It's a great classic Winnie the Pooh adventure. I'm not sure exactly like which animated thing it's from, just because they're kind of a lot. But I think that question, if anyone ever listens to this in the deep future, is a great one for commenting on, because there's endless possibilities with Lab Rat or Tinker Creations. So, but my question for the next chapter is 27.x. Pick a different 4 words for Scion to have said to Eidolon than what the addendum chapter would have us believe. Kaboom. And with that, I'm gonna turn on the music. And kind of do the outro, you know. Hopefully we can get this computer business under control at some point, but right now, unfortunately, the streams may keep getting cut into parts by crashing programs and so forth. Thank you, Greg. Cheers for being here. So the music that played at the top of the part 1 and then now again is Extinction by ScarlettXOX. You can find her work at twitch.tv/Scarlett_Rogue. Our Discord server link, along with the other links, can be found in the stream description as well as the channel description. Vic says, bye! With both dancing ladies and dancing man emojis happening. Dear Lord, the dancing never ceases. The author of the work being discussed can be supported on Patreon at patreon.com/wildbow. The full text of the work is available for free online at parahumans.wordpress.com, and there is also a fan-made audiobook of the entire work at audioworm.rain-online.org. Thank you to all those resources, and I will just let the music play the rest of the way. See you guys next time.